When I'm in the dark place and I stay there, I know Carla's frustrated with me because she knows I'm better than that. And so are you. If there's friction at the home, you may want to consider your own actions when things don't work out great for you. How do you respond? Do you lash out? Do you shut down? Do you throw your hands up in the air and say, what's the use? All right, welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, AZ Araujo, and I got to tell you, I am still on this high from last Friday's night's event. We had Ignite 2022, and just being around so many producing agents, so much energy. It was a synergy of sort, right? Of knowing that we have bigger things ahead of us, that there is something much greater on the other side of the work, much greater on the other side of dark. And we spoke about the darkness and the light, that it is much needed in our lives. It is the contrast we need to be able to appreciate the journey. It is the contrast we need to understand that the light is something to appreciate, because we will get sucked into this vortex of darkness. But that is where we'll find our lessons. That is where we'll find the true meaning of fulfillment, is the contrast, is the comparison. And, I shared a journal entry because it was a revelation to me. It's not about good and evil. It's about, the dark and the light becoming synonymous with growth. It's just part of who we are as humans. We need that in order to appreciate the journey. And to me, it was such a big revelation, because sometimes I would think that being in a dark place was just a negative, a bad thing. And now I realize that it's needed, because that's what really fires me up, is knowing that, I can do better. It's knowing that this is meant to trigger action. If you spend too much time in the light, you're going to lose that motivation. You're going to get too comfortable. And that's why there's these things that kind of smack you upside the head, right? To tell you, hey, wake up. You're going to run into some problems. And this is just a reminder to all of us that we have to stay on our toes. We have to continue to move forward and continue to propel forward and expand. It's not a time where we just say, okay, this is good, this is where we stay. And that's why even when we do the right things, sometimes we still face our fair share of challenges. And it's for the reason to continue the whole path of growth and prosperity. And we have to be in this place where we're constantly learning our behaviors and shifting and recalibrating and recommitting. And it's one of these things where if we can just simply embrace that and remind ourselves who we are, we can get through these dark moments and learn the lessons much faster. See, the key to moving through life and growing, in my own personal experience, not to say that I've hit the epitome of what I can create, but those that know my story and those that know where I started from can see the far contrast of where my life is today. And I'm able to see the steps that have made me successful in my own right. I think I'm very successful when it comes to my businesses. I think I'm very successful when it comes to my relationships, my marriage. Even though Carla and I collide from time to time, because we're moving at a fast pace, it doesn't mean that things are going to fall apart. The fights come because we're wanting more. We're wanting to grow and push harder. And sometimes when you're moving at that pace, you're going to create friction, and that's okay. Friction is okay. You just got to be able to learn how to navigate through that friction. And when I look at my overall health and my mindset, the health of my mindset, my emotional health, I think I'm very successful. And, it gets me thinking about how we have to remind ourselves of the journey. And I put in this journal entry, and I made some modifications right before I came here, just so I can use it in general. But if you can please pay attention to what I say next, I hope that it really resonates with you, because you will face your fair share of obstacles today. You will face it tomorrow, within your business, within your marriage. I know how heavy that feels. I know how the burden can weigh heavy. It can shut you down. It can make you question everything about what you're doing. I mean, I go through this emotional roller coaster on a consistent basis. I'm not above that. I just know how to be able to navigate faster out of it. When you stay in it, that's what creates weakness. When you stay in the dark place, see, dark is you're supposed to go there to learn the lesson, to reignite that fire that we may have got too comfortable in the light. It's not supposed to keep you there, yet many people stay there. Darkness is not weakness. Frustration and feeling like you're inadequate, it's not necessarily a weakness. It's staying in that place. It's staying in that dark place that creates weakness. And then there is a domino effect that happens from that. It affects everyone, not just you. It affects the mood of the home. It affects the way your children see you. It affects your production. It affects your confidence, your certainty, because you spent too much time in the dark. Again, we're all going to go through it, and it's not a bad thing. We're supposed to go there to recalibrate. We're supposed to go there to get triggered for more action. Yet people stay there, and it promotes weakness. It promotes uncertainty, instability within the household, frustration, resentment. When I'm in the dark place and I stay there, I know Carla's frustrated with me because she knows I'm better than that, and so are you. If there's friction at the home, you may want to consider your own actions when things don't work out great for you. How do you respond? Do you lash out? Do you shut down? Do you throw your hands up in the air and say, what's the use? It just doesn't affect you. Understand that your partners, the way they view you, they can be resentful towards you for those reasons because they know you're more powerful than that, and they're tired of being that crutch for you. They're tired of it. And I knew Carla was tired of that. And it put a lot of big strain in our relationship because she could no longer trust my judgment. She can no longer rely that I can continue to move forward. So you're going to go into a dark place. But if you remain there, you will weaken any progression you have. You will weaken the overall, sense of purpose that you have. That target that you plan for the end of the year is only going to get farther and farther away because you decided to stay there just because you're not getting along with your spouse. You decided to stay there because a deal fell through. You decided to stay there because, a family member said something that triggered you. Now you're questioning yourself. And we got to remind ourselves who we are. And there was this quote that I put up, and it's too early in the morning to start cursing away, and I'm not at that level yet, but it says the sleepless nights, the prayers, the stress, the reason it feels so overwhelming is that you forgot who you are, right? Who the fuck you are. You forgot that. And I wrote this, and I'm going to go ahead and share it with you, and I said, remind yourself you are elite. Be yourself. Communicate from the heart and soul. Let your experience and wisdom do the talking. You must lead yourself to lead your family, so you can impact others through your business. Tell your story. Remember the place you were in. Remember the work you put in. It was day in and day out. You didn't circumvent the work. You went all in to an all-out war. All of it was earned. You showed up regardless of the outcomes. No one can ever take that away from you. You must shine bright. And it is a stewardship to shine bright. It is our responsibility to remind ourselves why we're even on this. And I got to be honest, I was a little disappointed at the Ignite event when I asked, how many of you have shared your goals? How many of you have shared what you want to create for your business for 2022? And there was really only a handful of hands that went up in the air. I was a little disappointed because I understand the importance of communicating this with your spouse, with your family, so they could be a little bit more forgiving sometimes when things don't work out. They could give you a little bit more space because now you've made your vision their vision as well. And it reminds you to bounce back up. It allows you to be more forgiving in an argument. Carla and I, when we collide, we just have to take a step back and say, what are we shooting for? What are we here to create? Are we in alignment right now with how we're acting towards each other? How we're ignoring each other? How we're not on the same page? Are we any closer to where we want to go? How about we start working on that? How about we start communicating a little better? And saying, hey, we have this big goal because I shared it with her and she shared it with me. She told me exactly what she wants to create. And sometimes we're not on the same page, and sometimes you may not be on the same page. But if you're constantly talking about the goal, you'll find yourself coming to a resolution much faster. So if you haven't expressed that or shared that with your spouse or your loved ones, whoever you're doing it for, this is the time to do it. You'll find yourself obtaining resolutions much faster. The same thing for your business. If you're constantly looking at the goals, you're going to find a resolution to whatever problem you have right now with your clients. Whatever contractual problem you have even with the inspection, the appraisals, you'll find a solution because you have your eyes on that prize, your eyes on that end target. Just because there's an obstacle at its course doesn't mean that's not going to become a reality unless you take your eyes off of it. Then you're just being thrown around in the wind, flailing. So we have to remind ourselves who we are, the sleepless nights, the prayers, the stress. You're thinking it's outside of you. You got to remind yourself who the fuck you are. Right? The prayers are not going to help you. We've all been blessed. It's your decisions and what you decide to do right here, right now. It's the reps you put in. It's your ability to get up when you get knocked down. That's what's going to help you. Reminding yourself of who you are. Nothing outside of you is going to help you. I can't help you. I can't save you. Your wife can't save you. Your clients can't save you. It's a decision on your end. So when you're out there stressing, when you're out there tossing and turning, when you're out there praying for a miracle to happen, you're thinking it's outside of you. I pray every day for the appreciation I have in my life, for the decisions I make on a daily. The same decision I made this morning at 4:30 in the morning to get up, to take care of my body and my mind. I need to come here strong. I have big goals. I have a lot of people to impact. I have perspectives to paint. Just the way I was affected, because my coaches and my mentor had this fire within them to teach what they've learned, and I'm doing the same. And you have that same responsibility as well. It's a stewardship within all of us. But we got to remind ourselves who we are, not get stuck in the negative feelings of the fight, not to get stuck in the negative feelings or the feelings of defeat when a deal doesn't pan out, when you can't get your contracts accepted. What do you expect? It's going to be hard. Nothing great is easy. Understand that. We all know that. We've heard it. It's a cliched statement. But we forget when we're in that moment because you thought it was supposed to be easy for you. We got to rise up. And the way we do that is to appreciate where we're at today, appreciate where we were yesterday. I never want to go back to those type of struggles. I'd rather struggle now with the big decisions than struggle back there through a weakened state. I was weak. I was a weak man. And I hated that others knew it. So, we have to just remind ourselves. And we can't tolerate mediocrity this year. 2022 is going to require the best of you. The market is contracting. Only the best will survive. I wish it was available for everybody. I wish we could hug each other and sing kumbayas and say and believe everything was going to be okay. But it's not. It's going to be survival of the fittest. And it's not even going to be survival. It's going to be abundance for the fittest. There's going to be a large contrast of those that have versus those that don't. And you need to be able to put your family in a safe and stable environment. You must be able to create the financial freedoms you've always desired. You're going to need it. God forbid something happens to you. if the market crashes. Getting a little too complacent with all that equity you have in your home. When all it takes is one missed bill, all of a sudden you can't refinance. All of a sudden you can't cash it because it's not liquid. Cash is liquid. Make sure you have the 12 months. As a business owner, you need that. I'm not saying hold back from your dreams. I'm saying do both. It's not one or the other. I'm not saying go get your investment properties and the vehicles you want. I'm saying do both. So that means that you have little time and little space for you to be shut down, not to be effective, not to be productive. You have very little time, so you got to bounce back. And the way you grow 10, 15, 20% or more is you bounce back faster. That's all it takes. You already know what to do. You already have the skill sets to get your next deals. It's refusing to do those that's going to put you in a hard place if something were to occur. And this is real conversation. So, to wrap this whole thing up, I want to remind you to share your goals, your targets with your spouse. There was a quote on the House of Cards, and I played this video, and I'm not sure how many of you got it. There was a lot of energy, a lot of distractions, but maybe I'll revisit that at a later time. But there was this situation where the lead guy, Francis, right? He was supposed to be nominated for Secretary of State, and he was backstabbed. To say it, lightly, he was promised a certain position. It didn't come through. And he immediately went to a dark place. He wanted to be alone. He went to the park and was there for hours. And when he gets home, his wife started questioning him. Not questioning him like, you're doing something behind my back, but questioning him like, hey, this affects me too. And she said that exactly that. This affects me too. It's not the money I'm upset about. It's that we do things together. When you don't involve me, we are in a free-for-all. Okay? When you don't involve me, we are in a free-fall. And that's how it feels when you do things alone. But when you have somebody there that also knows your goals and ambitions, there's going to be another layer of accountability. And I encourage many spouses out there not to further weaken us as businessmen or businesswomen. Not to accept that mediocrity, but to challenge them to get up and go find a solution. Get up and go look for more. And I'll end with this, and I've said it many times. It was a shift in our entire relationship. Carla was tired of a weak man that showed before her. And she said, I don't care what you lost. And it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. I just care that you get up the next day and figure it out. And that is your responsibility. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. Have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye now. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.